Most notably known for his roles in Mortal Kombat as Raiden, Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep as Terra Xehanort, and Injustice Gods Among Us as Joker. Not to mention his iconic roles in 2001's Bleach as Zangetsu, 2004 Ghost in a Shell, standalone complex as Beto, and all the way up to his most recent role in 2017's JoJo's Bizarre Adventures Stardust Crusaders as Joseph Joestar. This, of course, is only to name a few roles Richard Epcar has done. Today on Seireitei Talk, the podcast where we talk about anything and everything Bleach-related, I'm joined by and will be interviewing the legend himself, Richard Epcar.
Hi.
So, Mr. Epcar,
I do have to correct you on a couple of things, though, real quick.
Yes, sir. Please
it's
do.
Bateau in Ghost in the Shell, and I do Terranort, but I also do Ansem in Kingdom Hearts.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
My little brother had a question about the Kingdom Hearts series. Will you be appearing in Kingdom Hearts 3?
I'm not allowed to talk about that yet, but they did announce that they were going to release the game in 2019.
Yes, sir.
So we'll keep our fingers crossed.
Let's hope.
Yes.
I run a community on, it's called Amino. Have you heard of the Amino apps or no?
I have not.
It's a community.
I've heard of amino acid. Is that the same thing?
No, sir, it's not. It's communities dedicated to various animes and things that other people like. And on it, I announced, since it is my community, I announced that I was interviewing you today. And I've prepared, and I let the patrons of my community ask questions. So I'm going to be picking out the best ones because obviously some of them are just trolls wanting to mess around. Deathcraft, that's my buddy John, he asks, what is your overall opinion on a man named Retro Rhino and a team of animators animating the final arc of Bleach? Do you support this endeavor or not?
You know, honestly, I don't know that much about it. I was Zangetsu, as you said, and most of his stuff was in the beginning of the show, and they've gone off into a bunch of other tangents. So I don't really, I've done over 500 characters in games and animation. So it's not always easy to keep up with every single character that I do. But, I I had heard that it's very possible that Zangetsu will be coming back in another series, like a prequel kind of a situation, which would be wonderful, and I would certainly love to be part of that.
Well, the person he's talking about, his name is Ryan. I know you probably don't remember this, but I got you to sign something for him at MechaCon 2017 in New Orleans.
Okay. Wasn't that long ago?
Yeah. And your wife, Miss Stern, she signed the picture as well. What was it? Sir?
What was it a picture of?
It was a picture of Misaki, because she plays the voice of Misaki in Bleach.
Oh, right. That's right. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
She plays Ichigo's mom. That's right.
Yes, sir. And I sent that to him, and he loves it. Like, he's got it framed in his room while he animates.
That's nice.
But in the final arc of Bleach, the main villain is actually Zangetsu.
Yeah.
Surprisingly enough.
Yeah, how about that?
Sir?
I said, how about that?
Wild. And he goes on these major monologues and all this and that. He's actually kind of the polar opposite of how Zangetsu actually acts in the series as a whole.
Huh.
Yeah. Skyla, that's another majority of these people on the community are my friends. I make it a note to actually get to know the people there. But Skyla asks, if there were to be another Bleach anime adaptation, would you want to reprise your role?
Of course.
I'd imagine.
Absolutely. So. Yeah, he was a great character. I would love to do him again. And you never know. I mean, every once in a while, they still call me in to do some stuff on Bleach, and I don't even know what honestly, I work all the time, so it's kind of hard to keep track of all this stuff. But Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I really liked the character a lot. I liked the show. It was pretty cool, and I would love to be involved with it again. Absolutely.
Have you seen the anime at all? Like, or well, obviously being in it is different from seeing it, but like, did you watch it
You
when it
know, I
aired?
haven't, I haven't, I haven't really watched it all that much, to be honest with you. Like I say, I'm super busy, and usually I'm busy working on other projects, so I don't get a lot of time to look at stuff. There's a few shows that I actually do continue to watch that I'm also a fan of that I work on. But I haven't seen that much of Bleach, to be honest with you. I know it's a super popular show and people love it, but I don't know that much about the show actually.
Did you hear it got a live action?
No.
Yeah.
When is that? Is that coming out soon or
It actually came out like 5 days ago, and it was a huge
really?
success in Japan. Like
Oh,
everybody
in Japan.
that goes see it or went see it said it was phenomenal.
Oh, that's great.
Uh,
I wish the same guys would have done Ghost in the Shell because the guys that did that show kind of cocked it all up.
yeah.
So that would have been nice if they had done a good version of it.
Nico asks, "What brand of toothpaste do you use?"
Crest.
That's all the questions I'll ask for now. There's a lot more,
Okay.
but they're all more centered towards the character rather than the actor. You know.
Okay. Well,
Um.
you can ask me stuff about the character if you want. That's fine.
All right. I'll ask one right quick.
Okay.
Severo asks, "What's it like cutting moons?"
It's wonderful.
Now, me personally, I want to make a good first impression.
Yeah.
You know, and naturally everybody does because my dream is to be a voice actor
Oh,
and
good.
to do what you do. You know,
Uh-huh.
it's amazing inspiring people with your voice alone.
Oh, thank you.
Uh, but I want to know more kind of what the equipment you use is. How'd you get your start? And at the same time, I kind of just want to get to know you. You know, you are one of my heroes personally, and it is a great honor to have you on this show.
Oh, thank you. Well, obviously the equipment I use varies from studio to studio. I work all over town, and yesterday I was at Warner Brothers, for example, and they have a very nice facility over there, obviously, and I do a lot of work at Technicolor and Bang Zoom and all these studios and all the professional studios have excellent equipment. They all use the Neumann U87 microphones, and their rooms are set up nicely, and so yeah, you're going to always have good quality stuff. At home, I use a Neumann 103 that I record my auditions, and I do some actual recording here. I have a studio set up in my office that I use, and I do a lot of. I just did a short film, a voice for a short film that I did here. I've done a lot of commercials that have been on the air that I've recorded in my office.
Mm-hmm.
There's a big game that I had the lead in Australia. I recorded all my dialogue here and sent it over there. So, anytime I can do that, obviously it's kind of nice. And you just kind of roll out of bed in your pajamas and, get your cup of coffee. And, I mean, that the game was great because it went on for, many weeks. And we had a lot of, 40 pages of, monologues. So it was, it was really kind of fun to do it, and I would do it in increments. I do a little bit every day, and it was a nice thing to have and to do, and and then I have a duet by Apogee, which is my basically my amp and the thing that drives my Pro Tools,
Mm-hmm.
and I work to Pro Tools like 99% of the studios in town here do.
Wow. How long have you been doing voice acting?
About 35 years.
Jeez. Wow. I didn't. Hmm.
Yeah.
Do you look at your Wikipedia page? Like at all? Do you ever like look yourself up sometimes?
Not Wikipedia so much. I mean, I'm honestly not concerned with Wikipedia so much as I'm more concerned with IMDb. But
Yeah.
uh, But yeah, no, I've gone on there, stuff once
Mhm.
or twice.
Being an injustice, I do have to ask this though.
Yeah.
Uh, who's your favorite superhero? Are you Marvel or DC? Because I'm a huge comic book nerd, more than anime ever could be. You know.
Well, I hate to choose between the two because, honestly, I do a lot of characters in both realms,
Hmm.
and I grew up with Batman and Batman comics and Superman and all that stuff. So I do love all the DC stuff, but I do love Marvel. Listen, I love Iron Man, and I love the movies that they've done with it, and I like these new movies that they've come out with. Where they have the compilation with several characters in it, and I just think they're a lot of fun.
Hmm.
I like them both. There's aspects of them that I like, in both of them.
Hmm. I really just wanted to get to know you. You know.
Okay.
What was it like on Highway to Heaven? Like I was asking my dad about that show because he grew up watching that
Yeah.
as well.
Well, Highway to Heaven was a great show, and I got to work with Michael Landon, who was, he was a kind of a television icon,
Hmm.
and and I grew up watching him on Bonanza, so it was fun to work with
Wow.
him. And actually, a lot of people don't know this, but I dated his daughter for a while when I first
Really?
came out. Yeah, when I first came out to town.
Wow.
And one of the cool things about working on Highway to Heaven was I got to work with Dick Van Dyke, who I've
Hmm.
worked with about 4 times now,
Wow.
different shows. And he what a lovely guy he is, just a really sweet gentleman.
Mm.
And one of the cool things about working on Highway to Heaven was we had to ADR one of the lines, which I don't know if you know that what that means, but it means we have to go back in the studio and record one of the lines to insert into the show. So the show was being produced by it was MGM at the time. It's now Sony owns that lot, but it was MGM, which is a huge studio that did Gone with the Wind and all these great
Mm.
movies back in the day, and it's certainly has a lot of history there. So I went back to do my line, and at the end of it, the guys asked me if I would sign their wall, and I said, "You want me to sign your wall?" They said yes, and I went over to the wall, and there was like Humphrey Bogart and Clark Gable's name on there, and I mean just all these incredible movie stars from the 40s, 50s, and 60s. It was unbelievable,
Wow.
and it was just really kind of an honor to be among all those guys. It was pretty wild. So they had Katharine Hepburn and people like that. It was just incredible.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I wish I had a picture of that today. That was a while ago. We didn't have our cell phones with the cameras on them back in those days. So
Wow. I wonder if do you know if the wall is still up there or no?
I don't, and I've thought about that because, when Sony took it over, I'm sure they changed things around. But whoever took it over, it certainly, if they didn't want that particular wall in there, it would certainly behoove them to
Hmm.
preserve the wall and put it somewhere else because it had all of these incredible icons
Oh
on the
yeah.
wall.
Uh, a bit of a change of tone, but I'm
Yeah.
curious as to how you and Miss Stern met.
We met in a repertory theater, actually.
Really?
I was, uh, I moved out here. I sold my drum set. I graduated college. I went to the University of Arizona,
Hmm.
and I sold my drum set. I got $300 for it, and I had $300 in my pocket, and I drove to LA, and that's all I had. And I didn't know anybody, and I, well, I shouldn't say that. I knew one person. Excuse me. I knew this guy named Jack, who was a guy I knew from college who was in the drama department with me. And I didn't know where to live, I didn't know where to go, so I called him up, and he said they had this little studio apartment that was available for rent. So I went and moved in over there, and I was taking my trash out one day, and Jack was taking his trash out at the same time, and I said, "What are you doing today?" And he said, "I'm going to go audition for this repertory theater." I said, "You mind if I tag along?" And he said, "No." And I went, and I got the job, and he didn't, and that's how I met Ellen. And
Wow.
what's bizarre about that story is if I would have been 5 minutes earlier or 5 minutes later, I wouldn't have seen him, and I may never have met my wife, and my kids wouldn't have been born. So it's just kind of
That's
yeah, it's kind of bizarre the way things happen in life. So I met her in this repertory theater. We she was dating another guy at the time, so I didn't want to, approach her. But as soon as that thing went south, I hit on her big time, and
Hey,
we've been together ever since.
there you go. How's the grandkids, by the way? I see you posting
I
about
have
them on
yeah,
your
I have one.
Instagram.
I have one brand new grandson. He's 6 months old. His name is Bo, and he's so cute. That's my son and daughter-in-law's kid, and my son is a world-class drummer. He's played for Rihanna and Justin Timberlake, and he's on John Legend's new album, and he's a drummer on Broadway. He was the drummer for Spider-Man: Turn Off the Dark, and
Wow.
also he's the drummer for Mean Girls right now on
Hmm.
Broadway. So they're doing really well, and she's his wife is a choreographer. She choreographed the Winter Olympics in Russia, the opening
Wow.
ceremony. Yeah,
That's amazing.
yeah. So they're doing pretty good. Those little guys.
Yeah. Do you have any advice for little voice actors like me? Like I just got casted as Tony Stark in a little role. Not to brag or anything, but
That's awesome. Tony Stark's.
uh, but like I use an MXL V67 with a uh, Focusrite and a Tube Pre V2 amp, and it gets the job done. Like,
You know what? MXLs are great mics. They're reasonably priced and they're excellent mics. I have two of them myself, and I use those for a long time before I should say I've got three of them actually before I got my Neumann, and they are excellent mics. And I used to travel with my MXL everywhere I went.
wow.
But the best advice I can give any aspiring voice actor is basically just become the best actor you can be,
Mm-hmm.
and do theater, study acting, and also read out loud every day, because the one of the hardest things of the work that we do is that we're not allowed to see the scripts before we go in the booth. So you have to cold read a performance for all the games and the animation and that sort of stuff. And the thing is, you've got to be really good at it, and a lot of people are not so good at it. So
Mm-hmm.
it's certainly something you can train yourself to be good at and read aloud every day, and just the better you get at it, the more comfortable you'll be, and then you can just jump in anywhere and do the work. So it's really important to do that.
Now, one thing I heard was, if you want to be like a voice actor, is to not watch anime. Is to actually not watch the animes and stuff, but instead to watch real world movies, real life movies, and TV shows, so that you can get an actual feel as to how facial expressions are, tones of voice are supposed to be in which situations. Because anime is a very exaggerated and eccentric um, field to go into, even
Well,
doing regular voiceover work.
it depends on what you want to do. I mean, everything's a little different. You're going to do, like I do a lot of games, and some of the games are very realistic, and some of the games are very broad. It
Hmm.
just depends on what the style of the thing you're doing. As far as studying animate for facial expression, that sort of thing, I wouldn't do. But certainly if you are interested in doing that sort of work, it doesn't, hurt you to see what's going on in that world, and what like what contemporary shows are happening and how the people are acting in that, if that's something you want to be competitive in and do. But certainly becoming a good actor is not just watching movies and TV. You have to actually go out and do the work,
Hmm.
and like I say, do plays, go and do radio shows, go and do as much stuff as you can, and keep doing it, because the more experience you have, the better you get at it.
Hmm. That's actually really good advice. That like I've interviewed a couple voice actors before. I've interviewed Kyle Abear. I've talked to J. Michael Tatum and
Mm-hmm.
Chuck Chuck Hubert. I
Mm-hmm.
think that's his name. And they've never actually told me any advice like that. Their advice is kind of just always go out and do it. Even Kyle Abear, who was doing radio beforehand, he was just like, oh, make sure you just try your best at it, And I guess that's not horrible advice, but
No, it's not horrible, but if you want to be really good at it and you want to be a, a respected actor, then you want to be able to deliver the goods. And you don't want to just be one of these guys that goes in and reads the scripts. And there's a lot of guys like that. You
Mm-hmm.
want to give it something. You want to put some emotion into it. You want to bring it alive.
Yeah.
And to do that, you need to be a good actor.
Favorite movie?
I have I have a lot of favorite movies. Anytime anybody asks me like, "What's your favorite character? What's your favorite?" I don't really have like one thing that I really like.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a huge James Bond fan, so I love Goldfinger. That's like one of my favorite movies of all time. But there's so many great movies out there. It's just really hard to pick one of them. But and I like a lot of foreign films. I like a lot of dramatic movies. I like a lot of comedies. I like a lot of different stuff. And same with my music. I'm very eclectic when it comes to the things that I like.
Mm-hmm. Have you ever considered doing like fan made projects like the Retro Rhino one? I'm not trying to
Recruit
like
me.
yeah, I'm just like curious because
I don't work on fan projects because I'm a professional, so I don't really get involved with that stuff. But and not to put them down. Listen, there's nothing wrong with it. It's the same as putting on a play. Not getting paid basically, and there's nothing wrong with that. And it's certainly someone who hasn't done a lot of this work. It's a good place to get your feet wet and to do all that stuff. But yeah, I don't really get involved with that kind of stuff.
hmm, uh well the reason I ask is cuz I'm a part of that project doing the voice acting. So like I agree it is a good way to get my feet wet and really get a taste for what I'm doing. Uh but I'm not sure how to really go about like cuz I'm on the casting call website, you know.
Hmm.
That's a good place to get casted. But when I see paid roles and people going for them and I just hear like how good some of the voices are. Like
Hmm.
the one that's up there right now, it's for a dragon in a video game produced. I don't think it's by Sony, but I think it's by somebody that's actually making a game. And I just hear all these deep, grumbly voices, and I think to myself, "Oh, I'll never be able to do that." He's got that audition right there. That's a good one. Mm. But
Well, you're not gonna be able to do everything. Nobody can do everything.
yeah.
You have your specific kind of voice thing, and listening to you, you could play a lot of young guys. You could play a lot of heroes. You could play, a lot of different characters. You don't necessarily have to compete with, someone like me and do it like a deep voice, or Fred Tatasciore who does the big monster voices. These are guys that kind of specialize in that stuff, and that's kind of where their voices are.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't have to compete with those guys because you can't.
Mm-hmm.
And
That's
they'll
true.
get the part every time. So you
That
have to
is
kind
true.
of focus in on what is your money voice, what is the thing that's going to work for you and get you cast and make you money.
Mm-hmm.
And right now you got like a young hero voice, and there's nothing wrong with that. So those guys, there's a lot of parts for those kind of voices.
Uh, one of the things I'm curious as to, I tweeted this at you like a long time ago.
Uh-huh.
Where people can find your demo reel for inspiration purposes. I also asked Miss Stern as well.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Uh, I can't remember y'all response though.
Okay, so you can find my demo reel, and they're old. I need to update them, but they're you can listen to my demo reels on my website, which is richardepcar.com.
Okay.
And the same thing for Ellen. You can go to her website, which is ellenstern.com.
Okay.
And we have our demos there. But the thing is with me is I've been so busy working that I don't really even have time to update my demo.
Mm.
And demos are to get you an agent. That's really what you need a demo for.
Okay.
Uh,
So
you,
you need.
you you don't use your demos to get you any work. You're not going to, usually you don't send a demo to somebody who's casting a project.
Mhm.
Occasionally they will do it that way, but honestly, the best way for them to do it is to have you read for the character that they're interested in having you play. because that way then you can try to do the character instead of just sending them a random grouping of voice samples, which doesn't necessarily match what they're looking for.
I see. Uh, who's your agent?
I'm with Vox.
Vox. Okay.
Yeah, Vox.
I'll make sure
Vox.
to put the links to both of you and Miss Stern's websites in the description below.
Thank you.
Um,
And yeah, and please tell your listeners to join me on Instagram if they want to talk or ask questions or anything like that. It's a good place to reach me.
yes, sir. So you have to get a demo reel first, and then that'll get you the agent. Well, how do you go about, like, do you just look up agents on Google and pray you get the right one? Or,
Well, you can. When you're starting out, you basically kind of have to take anybody who's interested in you.
that is
If
true.
anyone's interested in you, you want to go with them. You don't want to go with somebody who acts like they're doing you a favor because they're never going to get you any work.
Yeah.
You want to go with someone who's interested in you and is excited about you, and that's why you do the demo. The demo is to get you in the door so that they can hear some of your work and hopefully get excited about you.
Yes, sir.
You're not going to, like I say, you're not going to really use your demo. I can't remember, I could probably count on one hand how many times in all the years I've been doing this, how many somebody's asked me to actually listen to my demo for a paying job.
Wow.
Yeah. So, and like I say, I've been so busy working all this stuff, all this time that
Mm-hmm.
I don't have time for that stuff. Now you'll see guys they'll be working on their demos for years. They'll take all this time. They'll do all this other stuff. But the thing is, a lot of these guys in there, sometimes their demos will sound fantastic, but then you get them in the booth and they suck. So
Yeah.
part of it is, they're trying to shine it up and make it sound good, which is fine. But when you get in that booth, you need to deliver the goods, and that's why I'm also a director. And when I cast people, I want to get them in the booth and see what they can do there. I don't want to listen to their demo that's been polished and edited and all that stuff. I want
Mm-hmm.
to see what they're going to do when they come in and do the job.
That is very true. Um, One thing that I've always wanted to know is, like, how long it takes to make a demo reel, and what are the best people to send them to, like, agent wise.
Well, it doesn't necessarily take very long to do it. You don't want your demo to be longer than a minute and a half. There's four different kinds of demos. There's a commercial voiceover, there's animation, there's promos, and then there's trailers. So you have to figure out what are those four things that you really want to do, or you can do them all. I did them all. So
Okay.
if you're going to do commercial VO, you can either listen to something on TV and write down the copy, or you can go through a bunch of magazines and just read that copy and go to I don't know if there's people in Louisiana, but there's people in Los Angeles that you can go to that you can record the stuff, and they'll add music and effects to your read, and then they'll edit it together for you. So you'll have a minute demo or a minute and a half. Now, the biggest mistake people make when they do their demos is they tend to do the same character for a long period of time. We
Mm-hmm.
only need like one or two lines of dialogue from that character, then move on to another character. Because if you do that in the beginning and you're going on and on and on, they're just going to turn your demo off.
Okay.
So if you're going to do like an animated demo, an animation demo, and you want to have, like, let's say you have 6 or 7 really solid characters that you can do, and you want to do something that you can do, not impersonate somebody else. Don't do Mickey Mouse. Don't do something that's really known. Don't do Bart Simpson or any of that garbage. You want to do something that's unique to you. They already have people doing those characters. So you want to do something that you feel you can do that's in your wheelhouse,
Mm-hmm.
and that you feel competitive and confident about doing. So you put those on there, but you only do one or two lines of each one of those characters.
Okay. Now, for the four variations of the demo reel, you condense that all into one, or do you record each one separate and send those in?
No, you're going to do them separately
Okay.
because
Okay.
you can have one, like, make a CD of and have all four of them on there.
Mm-hmm.
Then that would be the thing you would send to an agent.
Okay.
You know. or do it however you want to do it. So you could send it over the internet, however you want to do it.
Okay.
But you have it arranged so you have them all together, and then if you want to send it for a commercial or something, you can just send them the individual thing. You don't need to send them the whole thing for, if it's like a commercial audition, you don't want to send them your animation, demo, because that doesn't make any sense.
Naturally. How many takes do you do when you go into the booth?
For what? For a demo?
For just anything going into, say, we'll use Bleach as the example. When you go
Well,
into Zangetsu.
if it's me and I've been doing it a long time, generally one or two at the most.
Okay.
I'll generally get it pretty quick. But they'll do it as many times as it takes to get it right. I mean, that's there's no limit on it. They have to get it right. So, they want to keep going until they get it the way they want it. But yeah, with me, I'm usually one or two takes on everything.
Huh. I'm gonna be honest. This is the longest I've interviewed someone.
Okay.
I think the first person I interviewed was Ryan, and one of my good friends, James Hansen. He's a Bleach YouTuber, but I think that episode went on for almost 2 hours. I'm not sure.
Wow. Well, let's not go on for 2 hours.
No, let's not. I think actually we're about to end this off here because
Okay.
we are pushing an hour. Almost.
Really?
Yes, sir.
Wow.
Because the call started at I think 1:25, and it is 2:00 my time.
Oh, see, time flies when you're having fun.
Oh yes, sir. Time flies when you're nervous.
Well, there's nothing to be nervous about.
Wow. What's the role that you remember doing the most?
Well, there's a handful of roles that are really near and dear to me. One of them is Joker because he's an iconic character and he's a lot of fun to play, and I always look forward to doing him. The other one is Raiden. I love doing Raiden. He's a great character. He's a very noble, honorable character, and I always look forward to playing him. He's really a wonderful character, and he's a god. How can you not want to be a god?
You're right.
Ansem's a lot of fun in Kingdom Hearts. He's a very, the fans love Kingdom Hearts. Joseph Joestar in JoJo's Bizarre Adventure is a lot of fun to play. He's just a blast. Jigen in Lupin the Third, I really enjoy playing him. There was another guy I did in a thing called Xenosaga. I played Ziggurat 8. I don't know if you remember those games or not, but he was a very melancholy kind of a character, which was really fun to play as an actor. And let's see, I'm doing Akuma now in Street Fighter V. He's a lot of fun. I'm trying to think of what else would be some of my more iconic characters. I'm sure I've left out a bunch, but yeah, we're not gonna let's name all 500 of them.
Yeah, I was about to say, with doing 500 characters, you can only.
And then you would get your
handful.
2 hour interview.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
But no, there's a lot of them I really enjoy, and I always look forward to whatever the next project is. I always want to know what the next thing's going to be, and it's always fun. So, and of course, Bateau, I can't leave him out. He's one of my favorites from Ghost in the Shell. He's a super big character and very well loved by the fans. So there's a lot of them, and like I say, I'm sure I'm leaving something out. I don't know what it is, but I'm leaving something out. Oh, Bobobo! Did you?
Oh.
we got to include Bobobo. We got to include him. He was a lot of fun.
Did that series get canceled? Because I remember when I was really young, I used to watch it on Toonami all the time, and it was hilarious.
Yeah, it is pretty crazy. No, it didn't get canceled. They only had one season, I think, or one or two seasons. And there's some rumors out there that they may be doing more, which would be pretty crazy. But when I hear these things, I never know if I'm going to be involved in it or not. So you never know. You never know what the deal is.
Are you a fan of Star Wars?
Oh yeah.
Have you seen the new animated series is getting a last season? Like the Clone Wars series, not the Star Wars Rebels?
No, I haven't seen it.
Ooh. I'm going to have to
good?
send you that. You'll get goosebumps with it. It's amazing.
That's great. Well, one of the biggest treats in my career was working on a couple of Star Wars games. I did Old Republic and the Empire or something something. I don't remember what the other one was. But anyway, it was really fun. I did about maybe 10, 20 characters on Old Republic,
Wow.
and really really fun to work on that. Anything Star Wars was very cool to work on.
Mhm. What is
So
what is your vocal range? Because you said I have a very young hero's voice, but my range goes from uh old man Yama from Bleach with the really deep raspy voice to a Japanese schoolgirl.
yeah, well, that's good. I mean, it's good to be versatile. My Joker doesn't sound anything like my normal voice.
That's
So,
true.
all of that, the more versatile you are, the better it is, really.
Mhm.
But I'm just saying, your main voice that people will think of you for is going to be, what your natural speaking voice is, and your natural speaking voice is like I said, a young hero voice. So that's what you want,
Hmm.
and that right now that's a going commodity. So that's a good thing.
Do you recommend me putting like the entirety of my pitch in the demo reel?
Well, I think certainly if you can show that you can play a variety of characters, it certainly
Hmm.
wouldn't hurt you.
Okay.
Provided that your old man is going to be competitive with someone who actually is an old man and does those voices. So you know what I'm saying. You
Yes.
want it to be competitive,
Hmm.
and obviously you want it to be something that they would listen to and go, yeah, I could cast that guy in this part.
Uh, I assume you know Neil Kaplan, or at least know
Yeah,
of him. Yeah.
I just saw him today, as a matter of fact.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Uh, he he's kind of like he's my old man because he did Old Man Yama in the Bleach series, and when I was younger and I saw that, I was like, I'm gonna be him. That's that's my life. I'm gonna be Old Man Yama, and so I'm also gonna try and get him on the show. I doubt he'll respond, but hey,
Well, you can
we can
tell him
try.
I just did the show, and maybe he'll do it then.
Ooh, that'd be awesome.
Yeah.
But since it's
Well,
oh, you go.
go ahead. Go ahead.
I was gonna say since it's 2:10, I think I'll end the interview here.
All
And
right.
it's a major honor. Since you are a busy man, I don't want to hold you for longer than an hour at
Thank you. I
most.
appreciate that. I appreciate
Um, it was wonderful having you on. It was wonderful getting to know you, and I hope one day in the future I get to work with you and or get to interview you again. You know,
Why not? Why not?
so
Crazier things have happened, right?
you are correct.
All right, buddy. Well, good luck to you, and just go out there and do your best, and like I say, train
Yes,
and
sir.
become the best actor you can be and the best reader you can be.
Thank you. That means a
All
lot,
right,
Mr.
buddy.
Epcar. Goodbye.
You're welcome. All right. Bye bye.